If Boots weren't such a big high street brand, this sort of thing could be suicidal. You know, when you watch television these days and you watch the adverts, you would think we lived in a black country, that we were the minority.
Breaking right now, growing outrage over the Boots Christmas commercial that has sparked a boycott of the high street chemist. So let me explain why. Boots the chemist decided in their wisdom to sign up an actress called Adjoa of Bridgerton fame to be the front woman for their Christmas ad. The slight issue for many is that this is a woman who offended millions during the King's coronation on Woke ITV by speaking of the terribly white balcony.
From the rich diversity of the Abbey to a terribly white balcony. I'm very struck by that. I'm also looking at those younger generations and thinking, what are the nuances that they will inhabit as they grow?
Peter Lloyd wrote on that there are 60,000 actors in the UK, yet Boots chose to hire Adjoa for their Christmas ad. Last year, Andoh trashed the royal family as terribly white during the King's coronation. Her casting sends a clear and deliberate message to white Britons. And I have to be honest, when I watched the ad, there was certainly a message behind it, because we know, even though we don't see Father Christmas, we assume Father Christmas in the world of Boots remains a white guy. And the message from the commercial seemed to be, white guys don't really do any work. We're the ones doing the work behind the scenes. Watch this.
We are never out of road. Last one. You thought it was all him.
So Alex Phillips of the brilliant Substack, That's What She Said. Do you think this is a message? This is yet another message to, lazy old white men. And isn't it a weird choice that Boots would go for a woman who was so clearly divisive during the King's coronation?
Yeah, do you know, I don't think it's so much Boots, but they use all these ad agencies in London who still believe that this is the world and this is, how they've got to promote because they've got to diversify and that's what's going to make people buy the products. It's not true. If Boots weren't such a big high street brand, this sort of thing could be suicidal. You know, when you watch television these days and you watch the adverts, you would think we lived in a black country, that we were the minority, right? I had my lady who comes to do my nails. She's from Lithuania. She pops over to my house every now and then and gives me a manicure. Not that I've had one done lately. They're looking rubbish. I had, Sky News on in the background or something. She's sitting there and she said to me, she was like, Alex, why are all the adverts with black people? And I was like, oh, it's just something that we have to do in this country. I don't know why. And she said, well, I know that it's 50-50 in your country, but you expect some white people in adverts. And I was like, hey, did you know it's not even 50-50? It's like 90-10 to the whites. And she was like, what? She couldn't believe it because she's not lived outside of London either. But this is what I find so crazy, okay? Nobody was particularly racist in the 90s, and yet we liked M people, the Lighthouse family, you name it. We were eternal. Everything was just got along quite happily and quite nicely. And now what's happening is this sort of crazy overcorrection when it's not even needed. And if anything, it's kind of making people adopt the extreme views that they want to try and counteract that didn't exist. And that is so harmful. It is so harmful to minority communities, actually, because once upon a time, we just rubbed along quite happily together. And now this point is being so made and overmade and overmade and overmade that there's almost this sense of resentment where people are thinking, I don't need you to keep telling me I'm a racist. You don't need to keep telling me that black people are fine and that they do work and that they're not you don't need to tell me this. I'm a normal human being. I get that, right? I don't have these horrible, toxic, racist thoughts in my head. So stop trying to infer that I do. It's going to blow up, and it already is blowing up in a way that has less than desirable outcomes. But, Boots are going to get away with it because they're Boots, because they've already got a huge, foothold on the high street. But any other smaller company, this stuff is going to become poisonous.
It is, because there are boycotts going on. And I agree, probably with Boots, it's not going to hit them because we go to Boots because it's the convenient thing, right? It's in our local railway station. That's why they try and do this social engineering all the time. Although I have to be honest, if I had a choice now between which chemist I chose to online shop for, I would not be choosing Boots. And I think the problem that I have with this diversity thing, Alex, is that diversity is meant to reflect the population. And I got into a big row the other day with these ladies because they are the Loose Women crew who are apparently allowed to have an all-black panel, Alex, but if there's an all-white panel, that's when ITV say, this is appalling, apologies, we're never going to do that again. So why are there those double standards? But first, I love the holidays. It's my favourite time of year in so many ways. But I find it can be very demanding, going to all of the events, dinners, looking for gifts, planning the day itself. Every year, I'm not going to lie, I tend to burn out quicker than the last. And let's be honest, it's probably because I'm getting older. I'm in my 40s now. But this year, I don't plan to burn out at all. Getting older is inevitable, but feeling older isn't. As we get older, our body's ability to create energy declines, but recent scientific discoveries have found we can actually increase our energy levels in our cells by taking something called NMN. NMN has been shown to increase energy and endurance, activate our body's ability to burn fat, enhance mental function and health, improve blood pressure, regulate blood sugar levels, and support many other health markers. Finding high-quality pure NMN is hard, so I use Verso. They conduct third-party testing for each batch produced to guarantee you get what you paid for. It contains the highest quality NMN and other research-backed ingredients that have been shown to increase energy levels and slow down aging. After taking Cellbean for some time, I feel like a younger version of myself. I've noticed more energy, enhanced endurance, improved cognition, fat loss, better sleep, and if I do get a cold, I recover faster, which is very good at the moment given everything going around. So click the link in the description on YouTube and Rumble, or head on over to buy.ver.so. If you use the coupon code OUTSPOKEN at checkout, you will save 15% on your first order. So let me just repeat the address: www.buy.ver.so/outspoken. Use the coupon code OUTSPOKEN.
Wasn't a diverse panel. That wasn't diversity. And you know what the thing is? It also comes down to that there's a hierarchy, right, of people who need special attention and special protections and who are victims who need to be overly promoted. They don't ask for it. I don't see many Africans and Caribbeans demanding that they have this stuff. No. Actually, the most woke thing you can do is simply be white and privileged. It's these people who are like saying, no, black people need an all-black panel. Oh, this is what they don't. That's insulting to them. It's like Kamala Harris's, my policies for black men, let's legalize weed because that's what they do. They all sell drugs, don't they? I mean, it's just really disgraceful. But when you look at the hierarchy of representation, have you ever seen a Chinese newsreader? Have you ever seen a Chinese footballer or a Chinese cricketer or a Chinese, I don't know, you name it, Chinese pop star, right? It's one of our oldest communities. There's Chinese restaurants in every single town and village in the United Kingdom run by Chinese families. There are Chinatowns. And yet, even during COVID, when everyone's going, oh, the China virus, we don't like China, we got to fight back against China, we don't trust the Chinese. They just go about their business. They're not saying, stop being mean to us, stop saying bad things about our country, stop saying that we eat bats. They just get on with it. They're not demanding to have special awards ceremonies or history months or, we had a Southeast Asian Hindu prime minister. Where was the whole, wow, a Hindu, oh, Diwali, this is amazing. Because he didn't fit the category of needing that to be special. Whereas Kemi Badenoch, black. So, wow, you've got to try and make a big deal of it. And Kemi's like, I don't want you to. Leave me alone. Like my politics, don't like my politics. This is a meritocracy. Don't make this about the color of my skin. They're not asking for this. I used to live in Ghana. I used to live in Kenya. I've lived in India. When I say lived, I mean lived in those countries. They don't want this. It's actually a sign of white privilege, the mad middle class nonsense that white people seem to not get these communities so much that they think they want this stuff. Guess what? They don't.
And the thing is, Alex, that actually what these advertising agencies, what these broadcasters like ITV lead us to believe is diversity is actually a very, very narrow substack. Not Substack, subsection. I've got your Substack on my mind. It's a very, very subset was the word that I'm looking for. Because let's look at those loose women, for example. They are Afro-Caribbean heritage, all live in London, all share hard left political views. I mean, that is not actual diversity.
Not remotely representative of the world that we live in. By the way, if you can hear a bit of noise around me, I've got to confess something.
Oh, good.
I'm in Wiltshire with my other half, right? And he's doing up a little thatched cottage and he's got no internet there. So I've come to the local pub to speak to you, and the local pub's just starting to fill up. By the way, it's the Royal Oak in Easterton, one of the best pubs in Britain.
You need to get a cider, Alex, for me.
I've got a gin and tonic on the way, actually. That's what I was drinking earlier. But they've allowed me kindly to have a little room outside, and they sort of said, "Do you mind if we put on a bit of music?" And it's been really quiet, but now and it's a tiny village. This pub is the heart of the community. You know, everyone knows everyone's name. So, and they're like, yeah, you can go and broadcast from the corner there. So if you hear a disturbance, it's very unprofessional of me, but you know, anyone who lives in the countryside knows there's no infrastructure. You can't get phone signal. I mean, you know, as I said, my other half's renovating a cottage, and so this is the only Wi-Fi in the village.
No, I love it. I love it. The party is just beginning, Alex. Well, look, go and get your gin and tonic, but stand by, because in 1 minute, I've got to talk to you about our old mate. That's one word for Narinder Kaur, because it's all exploded as a result of her criticism of Catherine, the Princess of Wales. Thank you so much for watching Dan Wootton Outspoken. Please click on my face just to the bottom left to subscribe to this brand new independent news source and turn on the notification bell so you'll be alerted to our brand new live shows, uncancelled interviews, and special royal episodes. Outspoken is also now available as a podcast, so you can listen to the show every weekday on the go, wherever you are.